directly to the next part of the program, which is Dr. Andrea Lausi's tutorial. He has prepared for us a tutorial on how to apply for beamtime. And this is, of course, a wonderful opportunity to hear from the SESAME scientific director, the best person indeed to tell us about the ways in which one can be successful in beamtime proposal construction. Andrea, floor is all yours.
It was not easy to find out where to unmute if you have already started the presentation. So, screen, yeah, I suppose.
Yes.
And also hear my voice, otherwise you didn't answer. Very well. We were at this point, yeah. We left yesterday with the news that SESAME is the only one, the only advanced light source which is fed by a solar plant, the EU actually, and oh, sorry. Yeah, so what we do with this, we inject every day. SESAME is not a top-up machine, so we have a decrease in the intensity of the beam during the day because of electrons running and hitting residual gas in the vacuum pipe, and so we inject every day. But apart from this 1 hour, half an hour, depends on chance and the idiosyncrasies of the machine. Essentially, it runs like every synchrotron, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and which means that the users are an essential part of this process, because if the beamline needs to be attended, we need to have enough users to stay also during the night, or to program the experiments in such a way that it is run automatically during the night. This is the last year, the first actually, and the last year more or less regular beam time available. I didn't want to show for this year because it's a bit depressing because of these lockdowns and coronas and shutdowns, and so essentially you see that the pink period, which amounts to roughly 3,000 hours, is the amount of beam time which is given for experiments. The green parts are shutdown of the machine for installation. The young machine, we still have things to be installed, like at the beginning of last year, there was the wiggler. Then from time to time we have also some other things that has to be put into operation, and so you have meantime in blue and shutdowns in green. This is the suite of beamlines which are or will be soon available at SESAME. The first 3 are there in place and working. So we have an XFS beamline. You can use hard X-rays, atomic structure of materials without the need of a crystalline structure in between. You can have infrared spectroscopy to identify the chemistry of your samples, and you can use the new powder diffraction material science, it's called, but beamline, which is now starting working. I saw the first pattern of silicon standard, and so that is also working. Then there will be very soon, which means 2022, a fluorescence beamline in the soft X-rays regime working, the HESEP beamline, and in 2023 we will have beads and a photoelectron spectroscopy beamline in place. thanks to this Apple II modulator and the 3-pole Wigger, which are installed during next year, both of them, actually. And then plans are also for a macromolecular crystallography beamline and for a SAX beam in the future. Let's say when Fund is will be secured. All of the end, like every synchrotron, we transform light into scientific papers. In our case, it's a two-step process. Sun to energy, energy to from the machine, photons from the machine to papers. And to answer one of the question of Dr. Karibie, this is the iceberg of the work of the beamline scientists at SESAME. So there is a visible part which is hosting the users when they are here and allowing the experiment to be conducted, but there is also the submerged part which is interacting with them they have left, helping in the data analysis because the synchrotron radiation techniques are not widespread yet in the region. So XFs and this is just for XFs and IR. As you see, practically all of these, except one of these papers have a SESAME author in it, because the women scientist was not there only to open and close the shutter and allow people to take the data, but it all has also been involved in the data analysis, in the preparation of the samples, and in some cases also in the write-up of the article itself. So this is a long process, but this is the end, at the end of a synchrotron, let's say, using the. So how do you start instead? Okay, if you are a new user, the first thing that you have to know is that you can participate. So SESAME has an open access policy. There is no restriction of the nationality of the users. It is, everything will be based on scientific merit, and so good proposals will always find a way to. This gives you an idea of what has been done and what is being done in this moment as at the various beamlines. So these are the 3 calls that we had. It's called call 0, which was in 2017, just before the beamlines entered into operation, which received a total of 55 proposals, which doubled 1 year later, when 1 year and a half later, beamline XFs and IR were already functioning, and we went up to 103 proposals. With the opening of the third beamline, not only we maintained or even increased the numbers of the already open beamlines, but we also had the first numbers coming from the powder diffraction beamline, and so we ended up with 151 proposals, which puts us in a situation in which we prolong in this moment the plans were that we go to a semester by semester working scheme, but for the time being, and especially in this Corona time, this transition is far from happening, and 151 has been selected, and around 75 of them will be actually measured, which is a healthy ratio between accepted and proposed. And it will end, since we have to go to mail-in now, since nobody is going to travel Jordan these days, unless not for the few days of a proposal, at least. Then it's just on the shoulders of the Beamline scientists. The beam time, we cannot afford to have people here at night because we don't have enough. And we cannot afford to have people working 7 days a week because we don't have enough staff. And so this call 2 will keep us occupied until the end of August 2021. The next call will be launched in March 2021 for measurements to be done after September 1st, 2021. So how to apply? You go on the website. On the top right, you find for you, and from users brings you to the SESAME user portal, which is where you have to register in order to apply for beam time. So once you have registered, there is one thing here. During the registration, you will be asked your institution. If the institution is not in the database, which can menu, you write an email, explain so that we can keep the number of institutions to have a binary identification of an institution. Otherwise, we would have, for example, put in the place I worked for several years, we would have Elettra Synchrotrone, Trieste Synchrotrone Elettra, and so on and so forth, so with 10, 15 institutions, which are actually the same one. So this is a little tricky thing that you have to do. Then, once you are in, first of all, you will receive our newsletters and our at a certain point, you will receive an email that a call has been opened. Yeah? So you will be able to submit a proposal. Entering at that point will let you find this button, submit a proposal, which was not there before. And at that you fill in the data which are requested online. You download a Word template which has very clear instruction in them, which allow you to communicate to the panel which will review your proposal these 5 points: the background, the motivation of the proposal, what you want to do, the experimental plan, and so point 4, explain why this works calls for access of SESAME. This is a very important point, as we will see later, the references. It's very important that you fill this file in a proper way without changing, for example, when it is written at certain points, do not change anything above this line. Please do not change above that line, because otherwise the program which takes in charge the proposal will not work properly, and you will have to work again. So in total, you have to fill something in the user portal. This is online information. Then there is this download template with all the proposal. And then there is the safety form, which is another mandatory important part, which you also download, which tells us about the nature of the sample. And this is mandatory. You at least have to fill, if you have more samples, you can have many safety forms, obviously, but if there is no safety form uploaded, you will not be able to proceed with the submission process. What to do in order to come? One thing is consult the website, discover what we can do, and also please do get back with the Beamline scientists. So I would say that actually the first thing that you should do once you have an idea, after having the website and what are the things that can be done, then the first things to do is to discuss with the scientists about is it technically feasible, what I am asking for? Do I need to bring some instrumentation which is not available at SESAME, or is the dotation of SESAME enough for that? Discuss with them how much time will your experiment last. So of how many shifts to ask. We are working in shifts of 8 hours. This is the unit of time. Then, about the information that you have to give to the reviewers, background and impact are obviously very important, because remember that reviewers will have to read 151, 200 proposals. The more clear you are, the better it is. If you a proposal which is lacking in details about why you need a synchrotron radiation beamline to do the job, why can't you do it in a laboratory, is weak. Is very weak. This is a very important point. But also give to the panel. Remember that the panel members are scientists in different fields, but they don't know everything. So you have to ease for them and go to the core of your experiment and explain why it is important and what is the impact that this will have, and what kind of advancement and projected publication you can obtain from that. Yeah? So in how you write up your proposal, think of it as an article for a wider audience than only the specialists in your field. So fill with a bit more details and stay to the basics. So what is the process? Once you have hit submit, then 3 things are done at our side. First of all, the safety officer looks at the safety forms and checks that everything is all right, or sets a flag alert in case of any risk. Then the Beamline scientist will say if your experiment is feasible or not. And this is the point in which it becomes clearly important that you speak with them before. Because if you assume something which can be done and is not feasible at the moment, or will never be feasible, for example, you don't know, and then the technical feasibility is just a threshold. The Beamline scientist is not involved at all in the scientific decision, evaluation process. He will just say if this is possible or is not possible. And the moment he says it is possible, he's actually taking the responsibility that he will be able to carry out your measurement. So the best thing to do, again, is speak with the Beamline scientist before submitting a proposal. And the third is a panel review committee, which will evaluate all the proposals and put them in a list according to the scientific merit of it. And this is the present members. All this information together with the user policy, the data policy, you can find them on the website of SESAME, and this is the present committee members. As they pointed out, they are too few. We will have to increase the number because 151 proposals with 2 proposals means, with which 2 reviewers at least for each proposal means each one of them has a month to review 20 proposals, which is a bit too many. It's because it's not terribly different from reviewing an article. So we will increase this number in the near future for the next fall. And once everything is set, you will come. You will be hosted in our guest house, and which is really brand new. And is 50 meters away from the main entrance of SESAME, and you will do your experiment. After that, you will be still asked to do mainly 2 things: publish your results in due time, obviously, and with a much shorter deadline, fill the and final report. So the best is the customer satisfaction report of your beam time. You will be asked how was the beam, how was the Beamline status, how was the level of support, how was the guest house, etc. This helps us in benchmarking our operation. Failing in the best will not allow you to fill a new proposal for the next call. Failing to publish, not obviously, because a publish can be much longer than the interval of time between 2 proposals. But obviously, and this happens sometimes, are coming to measure, even with very good results from the review panel, for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and now nothing comes published. At a certain point, a flag is lit, actually by me, at the level of the review panel, and then you might be asked why this happens, or you will simply be not allowed to present a proposal for that call. In publishing, we require you to acknowledge the effort of SESAME and acknowledge the one, if any, of the various funding ways that we have to support the travel and the hospitality of the users to SESAME. We have several programs which are funded at different levels, which allow us to accommodate at least at the moment, all of the scientists for member. Then we will see for the future for non-members. But at the moment, we are able at least to support both travel and accommodation for all member scientists. And this is what I wanted to say. Yes.
Thank you very much indeed, Andrea, for this very detailed presentation. At this point, floor is, of course, open for questions, comments, and queries. So please, Dr. Garaibe, please ask your question.
Thank you, Andreas, for this information. Really, it's very helpful. I have experience of writing many proposals to synchrotron facilities. Not all of them was granted, but the good ones has been accepted, which is good for me and good for anyone who will gain proposals accepted by SESAME in the future, because it's luxury times that one can have it. Some technical questions that I would like to ask, just to clarify for anyone will ask me later or in the future, I will do it, is the worth of the proposal is it like maximum of 2 pages, 3 pages, or it's unlimited?
No, it's 2 pages. It's a fixed format. It's a fixed format.
For 2 pages. Yeah, 2 pages. And about the safety form, that it is mandatory to be submitted. Is it online procedure, or it is there is a form offline you have to fill it and then upload it with the proposal?
Offline, you download it, you fill it, and you upload it.
Okay, it will be nice in the future if it will be online, because
sometimes
sometimes it's really very, sometimes it's very difficult, because many information maybe not for us, especially when you are using chemicals. Sometimes you do not have enough backgrounds about if it is safe or not safe and how to deal with it. So when it is online, sometimes it's easier, because your database will be very helpful for the others to fill this type of forms.
Yeah, did I mention some slight problem of lack of staff?
Yeah, I know the problem. It's really, I know it's very hard. But,
yeah, it is.
Yeah, but SESAME is a new synchrotron facility, so we will.
Yeah, we are really very young.
It's very acknowledgeable, so really.
Yeah, most of that you see is imported actually, or and adapted from other synchrotrons. Because this was the most economical way to do it, not only from the point of view of money, but especially from the point of view of manpower.
The last question is about the users when they come into synchrotron. So you know, it is accelerators and high voltage systems and many things. So they will have some safety training before they can do it online, or only on day one they will have this safety training?
Oh, good question. Thank you very much. We are moving to that. Thanks to IAA, we are starting online tutorials for many things. We'll be ready, I hope, for next spring, so that people can actually have this tutorial before coming already.
Excellent.
So, it's spares time once you are here. It will be obviously, like everywhere, a tutorial which will last for 1 year or something like that, and you have to repeat it with questions, random questions, which change every time. It's yeah.
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good. Further questions, comments, or queries? Dr. Hannoun.
I want to ask you regarding the tomography beamline, when it will be open for proposal submission?
Well, the Beamline should be open to users in 2023. And there will be a round of so-called friendly users. This is a practice that every beamline in the world does. So before all, there is a benchmarking with real samples of friendly users. So there might be some possibilities before here, but then that will depend on Gianluca and how he's planning to use that beamtime. Essentially, it will be open in 2023, and I think that if everything is well, and we are now having a call in March 2021 for beamtime from September 2021, then counting 1 year from there, because we really need to, so COVID makes these calculations a bit complex, but essentially I think that if everything goes well, in September 2022, there will be a call for measurements from January 2023. And that will be the point where you can aim at placing your proposal.
Yes,
we would like to stay in register with the year, with the semesters, but have to fight against the current of COVID in the moment. Yeah, so we're trying to put things in order. It won't be so easy, but we will do our best.
And I want to ask you about the shifts that will be given. How long are these shifts? Is it 24 hours, 72 hours? And is it continuous shift? Is it like 8-hour shifts? Will it be open during the night time or no?
Yeah, yes to all. So it's 8 hours everywhere, every place I know, actually. 8-hour shifts, mostly running 7 days a week. Then every week, normally there is 1 day of machine, which then is chosen in order to be fair with the machine. 1 Friday, yes, 1 Saturday, 1 Friday, 1 Saturday, 1 Friday, 1 Saturday. So in this case, everybody has only Fridays, or not everybody has only Saturdays between us, and try to go on with a run which will last a couple of months. Then a shutdown for installation, repair, and so like every machine. So we are aiming at 4,000 hours of user shifts by 2023, which is ambitious with the amount of staff that we have, but I hope that we can cope with that.
I want also to ask you about the accommodation. So, is there any detail for the accommodation, or it will be dependent with the proposal for the availability, for the
priority will be given obviously to members, but there are 48 rooms. It's a gigantic, with respect to the number of beamlines, and it has been built with a very long time span, this guest house. Considering the fact that Alam is far away from Amman, so it's 3/4 of an hour car, staying in Amman is not so much convenient at the moment, and there are no hotels around here. So it was of paramount importance to have a guest house with a large possibility of hosting users. And 48 rooms are, because at the moment we have 3 beamlines working. Even with 6 beamlines working, I don't think that 48 users at the same time on site. So I see a very good margin there.
I want to ask you also about the data ownership. Will SESAME have the like a dual ownership with the user, or it will be like the data like solely owned by the user? He have control over it.
No, I mean, the owner of the data is the user, not SESAME. We do our data policy, which you find online, says that we apply for the open data scenario in which data are kept by us a certain number of years. During that certain number of years, only the principal investigator can access for them. After a certain time, they are open to everybody in order to participate in case to further use of those data, because it's data which has been obtained public money, so it is at the end, after a certain amount of years of embargo, they will be of everybody. Still, the principal investigator has to be informed when somebody asks for the data to be to be given.
Yes, and my last question is, I want to ask you about the finances. Are these costs covered by SESAME for the use and also for the accommodation, or the user shares some cost with SESAME regarding these things?
Well, this is under debate in this moment, and I can assure you that members have the accommodation and the travel covered at the moment. Because did I mention the lack of funding? No, staff and funding. Okay, we are trying our best, obviously. We and the users have to cooperate as much as we. This is our goal, to have users here. So whenever possible, but in the policy, we will have to say at the moment that members can obtain for free the travel and the accommodation, and then nothing prevents them to extend it if it's available. In this moment, actually, the situation is very favorable because the funding for travel and subsistency of 2020 has obviously not been used. So they are there, saved in the bank for future users. And continuously looping in and trying to get more funding, but the amount of things that have to be done with these funds is quite substantial. Yeah.
If I may interject also, just to note that in relation to many other synchrotron radiation facilities, including in Europe, the SESAME guest house is, I think, by far the most comfortable. And the situation, of course, on a more serious note, in terms of transnational access and travel funds for users accessing synchrotron radiation facilities, that is currently being discussed in organizations like ESUR, which is the European Synchrotron and XFEL user organization. There is a distinct lack of funds for travel to various synchrotron facilities. So in this sense, as Andrea mentioned, and he's of course best placed to comment on this, the situation in terms of travel support to SESAME is really quite optimal compared to even European and international scene. and certainly, as I mentioned on a lighter note, the guest house is extremely comfortable. I would say one of the most comfortable synchrotron radiation facility guest houses that I have stayed in. So it's a wonderful opportunity. Further questions, comments, either from Dr. Hamdan or others?
I have one comment regarding the accommodation. It's from my experience with when I go to Synchrone Soleil in France, the accommodation there in their guest house is 30 euros, which is really is not that much. So I'm expecting if there will be any charge for accommodation in Sesame, will not that be expensive, like 30 euros for one day. So food is, I think it is not that expensive. That's offered by Sesame, and I stayed 3 nights in the guest house of Sesame last year when we had the meeting. And really, as Andrea said and Kersey said, that really it's very comfortable. For traveling from the airport to Sesame, I think it's by taxi, it takes like 40 euros, which is maybe a little bit maybe expensive or not, I don't know. So I don't think that's even that expensive, but it's the most difficult for traveler users is the air ticket, which is, it depends from where he is traveling. For us from Qatar to Jordan, really it is expensive, the air ticket, which is about, I think it's about $1,200 it costs us in the summer. So,
Wow.
but I don't know why. I don't know why. It's only from Qatar to Jordan, it is expensive. As a Jordanian, when I travel to Jordan from Qatar, it cost me 4,500 riyals, which is $1,200, which is, I don't know why. It is only 3 hours of flight. So,
Yeah, it's very
I don't know.
strange.
So this just expensive, just to put you in on how much you will pay if you will go to pay everything. But I know that for experiment, it's free. To do your experiments is totally free.
That is free for sure. Yeah, but that is obviously there is no unless you are in industry, you know, then
Yes.
we can discuss
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But if you are doing research, academia is obviously for free. This is.
Dr. Hanoun, you had a further follow-up question or query?
I just want to know, is there any memorandum of understanding we need to sign it here in Qatar University with the SESAME? Because like maybe a couple of years ago, when I requested to create account, they just defined Qatar University, and then they created my user account in SESAME. So after that, when I want to use, is there a memorandum of understanding, or that's it? I just need to apply for a proposal.
You just need to apply for a proposal. There is no need of standing for a user institution to come to SESAME. No. If we want to go further, then a memorandum of understanding would be nice. We can have a non-binding memorandum of understanding in days.
And this is, of course, something that is an important consideration given what was outlined in terms of the situation. The access is open for individual users, as Andrea mentioned. Then there are examples of other organizations, including in SESAME members, having memoranda of understanding, including the Cyprus Institute that we are hosting this meeting from. And of course, then there are the further discussions relating to other developments, how access and support can be expanded. And certainly there are advantages in membership of SESAME. Clearly, the travel funding being a substantial caused by the sounds of it, particularly from Qatar. Other comments?